My mom took the little bit of money that was there, and she said she was going to go shopping for us to a nearby village. She left. She said she'll be back, but she never came back.
Irina Creek was 4 years old and living in the former Soviet Union when her mother disappeared. Her father was in prison, so Irina was taken to an orphanage. Her young heart slowly grew bitter as she waited and waited for her dad to come and take her home.
That was the hardest thing for me. One day it just hit me. I had to realize that he is not.
People Stories. It's an outreach of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. I'm Jim Kirkland.
And I'm Phil Fleischman. One of the ways God showed Irina his love was through a gift she received from a stranger. After she tells us more of that story, you'll hear a word from Billy Graham about a gift God offers to you.
God is the giver of a gift. God gave a person as a gift to every one of us, and that person is Jesus Christ.
You can learn more about Jesus Christ right now at findpeacewithgod.net. That's findpeacewithgod.net. We also want to remind you about our 24-hour prayer line. The number is 888-388-2683. If you want to pray with someone, you can call anytime. Again, the number is 888-388-2683.
GPS.
God.
People. Stories.
I was born in 1989 in a part of the Soviet Union farming area.
Irina's parents struggled with alcohol and drug addiction, something that deeply affected Irina's life, beginning the very day she was born.
I was actually born on the side of the road because my mom was, intoxicated at the time, and she was beginning to go into labor on the side of the road. And a passerby farmer who was, had a horse and like a flatbed for carrying hay. He was pulling that. And so he pulled off to the side of the road, pulled my mom up on that flatbed, and that's where I was born.
Irina grew up with a sister who served as her caretaker when their parents weren't up to the task, even though her sister was only a year and a half older than her.
I just remember being very poor and hungry at times.
She also lived in fear of her father.
I remember being very afraid of him because he would get drunk and then would suddenly become like a different person, very unpredictable, would blow off and would just be violent. And he would get into trouble, especially with other men. He would get into fights. So I saw him in that kind of mood. And it was just scary because I didn't know if I was going to be next or what would happen.
And it was his violent temper that landed Irina's father in prison.
In the midst of, a drunken kind of party, he ended up stabbing to death one of his closest friends.
Irina remembers her dad being taken away, but not really understanding why he was being taken away. After he'd been in prison for a while, he sent a package to Irina's mother. He'd been able to earn a little money while working in prison.
And so he sent some of that money to her, and she was just ecstatic. And I remember getting that wooden package. It was like a crate, just a wooden box. And it was full of fresh cranberries. It was so exciting because treats like that were just so rare for us. And I just remember being so excited. One of the most exciting days of my childhood. And just to think that our dad was thinking about us far away, wherever he was in prison, he was thinking of us and taking care of us.
Receiving that crate full of cranberries from her dad would be Irina's last joyful memory for a very long time.
My mom took the little bit of money that was there, and she said she was going to go shopping for us to a nearby village. She left. She said she'll be back, but she never came back.
Days passed with no sign of the girl's mother. Irina and her sister never saw her again.
There was some bags of children's clothes on our side of the river. So apparently she had gone and gotten things, but something happened along the way, and that she never made it to our home. And a body was never found. So, there are questions there. But also I'm thankful that I don't have all the details because it gives me less to think about, less to process. And so that's also God's grace. But what happened after that was we didn't know what happened to our mom, so we just stayed at home and we were waiting for her to come back. But then we didn't have any food. So we began to tell our neighbors that our mom is not coming back. And so I guess they called the authorities and they came to pick us up.
Imagine the first few years of your life being so difficult that the thought of going to an orphanage isn't as scary as it is exciting.
That was the reality for Irina, who was just 4 years old when she went to the orphanage.
I was so excited that I was going to have friends. I imagined playing with the children and just having a great time with them.
Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Irina says that the adults who ran the orphanage were abusive. She says they humiliated the children on a daily basis while controlling their every move, even dictating when they could use the bathroom.
They would get me in trouble no matter what I did. I would try to please them, but they would always find reason to knock me down and to speak negatively to me, to beat me, to grab me by my hair and, to throw me around physically. I felt like I couldn't please them. So the way I dealt with it was I just decided I'm going to do specifically the things that they don't want me to. And I guess it was not good. I don't recommend it. It was just the way I dealt with it. And that's when I began to have negative thoughts. And Satan uses difficulties to build into us unforgiveness and bitterness so that we would act on them and hurt other people. That's exactly what he wanted me to do. And I was beginning to submit to that.
To make matters worse, Irina's sister was sent to a different orphanage for school-age children. Irina had lost her mother, her father, and now her sister. But she was holding out hope that her father would come back for her.
He said, I love you. You're my girls. I'm going to come back and get you. And so I waited for a long time, but it didn't happen. I remember that was the hardest thing for me. One day it just hit me. I had to realize that he is not coming back for me, that nobody's coming back for me.
Irina's first glimmer of hope appeared when she was 6. It was time to transfer to a new orphanage. And by the grace of God, she was reunited with her sister, and her new home was like nothing she had ever experienced.
Oh, wow. It was like night and day. What's interesting is that this orphanage was in the same region, under the same government. So the fact that there was a difference, I think, has to do with from top down. The director was a kind man, and he actually cared about children. And he did not put up with any sort of abuse. He actually did the complete opposite.
And for the next few years, Irina was happy being in an orphanage.
I felt loved. I felt appreciated. My